You know, it should be the most exciting time of your life, and it was. I tried to tell myself, my dad's telling me, hey, just enjoy this experience, enjoy this run, and it was very stressful with the whole San Diego deal and everything that went down, and not knowing where you're going to be drafted. San Diego was first, Oakland was second, Arizona was third, New York Giants were fourth, and so you never know what's going to happen. Even that draft day was even more stressful. Just when San Diego drafts you and you don't know what's going to happen, probably 45 minutes later, I hear the news I've been traded to the Giants, and I was really excited about that, obviously. And finally, I kind of got to enjoy that day. It was a great day, and after I heard the news that I've been traded to the Giants, that's when I really could relax and say, this is going to be a fun.
2 days before the drive, I had the biggest blessing of my life. Had my daughter. 2 days later, I'm in Dallas, sitting at the table, looking at a phone, just waiting for that phone call to happen. It rings, and you're like, wow.
With the second pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State.
Everything that you work for, everything you dream about, it's here. It's coming full circle. You got your mama to your left and your pops to your right, and you get up and you give them a hug. You realize that you're going to be a New York Giant.
This young man is about to go to the New York Giants and play in New York City. Big night for Saquon, a couple of nights after he becomes a newborn dad.
Every time I was driving New York in the highway, we would pass the stadium, and I used to always play, I want to play in that stadium, I want to play in that stadium, and the fact that it's happening, it's crazy.
The draft memory for me was sweet because the Duke. Rumor has it I was his last draft pick. After drafting me in 2005, he walked out of the boardroom. And for me, man, that's kind of mind-blowing. How great of a situation I was in. Obviously being here and getting an opportunity to work behind OC and Stray. And just, being in New York City, my expectation was just to come in and try to help this team get back to where it had been. You can see with the Raptors here, all the greats that have played this game and all the, the great teams. I wanted to be a part of that. And I'm thankful to have this opportunity to play in front of the best fans, and thankful to have the opportunity to be a part of the greatest franchise in football history.
We had a party downtown Oklahoma City at this little venue. I just had a lot of friends and family with me. It was a great time. Becoming a Giant, there's a lot of history with this place. And I grew up looking at the Giants all the time and seeing all the great players that come through here. So to be a part of that legacy is a great feeling.
Sometimes I look back and it's kind of hard to remember, and I have a lot of laughs about it too. I went to a hotel room on the campus of Morehead State, probably the only hotel that was there at the time, and I got the call from the Giants to officially announce that I was being drafted by them.
New York Giants first round selection. Quarterback Phil Simms, Morehead State.
It took a couple hours before I heard the uproar in New York about it, but I think on campus at Morehead State, I think there was a little bit of an uproar there too, because nobody knew. It was a different day and age. Some of my friends knew. I'd told them, I said, hey, I'm gonna be the 7th pick of the draft by the Giants, and they were like, you sure? It was a neat day. Morehead State actually had to throw together a press conference. They were not prepared, and I think of that and really have some good laughs.
Man, draft day, a lot of nerves, a lot of questions. I was around all my family and friends. The Giants in New York was my number one option going into the draft, and I had no idea and no expectation that I was gonna get a call from them.
With the 23rd pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Evan Engram, tight end, Ole Miss.
Words for advice for the new draftees: really savor the moment. Just enjoy the time with the people you're with, and just enjoy the night, enjoy the days, because that's going to be a story that you tell for the rest of your life.
When I was a senior at USC, it was the first time I ever came to New York. We played Army in Yankee Stadium. And I remember walking out and looking around and think, wow. I just was looking around like every other country boy at these big lights. And all of a sudden here I was coming up the dugout that Joe DiMaggio would come up. And the reason being that Mr. Mara, he scouted me at that Army game. And I had a big game against Army. And it was amazing to me that I would wind up there a year later. I was driving up to Mount Baldy to go skiing. I had the radio on. And they were talking about the NFL draft. And then USC, Frank Gifford went to the New York Giants #1. And I said, what? I went, what? It was not a shock, it was kind of laughable to me. And that's how I heard about the fact that I was going to be drafted by the Giants.
When I got the call from Dan Reeves, I was thinking to myself, why do they need me? They have LT, and it's cold up there. I remember watching the Giants growing up and watching the smoke come out of their mouths when they're playing. I'm thinking, I don't want any part of that. And I was told that when you go to the NFL, you're not Michael Strahan from Texas Southern. You're Michael Strahan, a football player, and if you weren't one of the best, you wouldn't be there. So that's the mindset I took. It didn't matter what school I had gone to or they had gone to. Once we get on the field, what we did out there is all that matters. Contrary to how I am now, I was a mouse. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I remember Phil Simms, I walked in the locker room and Phil said, "Hey, Michael." And I was oh my gosh, Phil Simms just spoke to me. And then LT walked into the locker room, and all of us rookies, it was like he was walking on water. We all were in such amazement. It was the most intimidating, but also exciting time that a young guy could ever have on any team, and to see guys like that who are proven veterans come in and, for one, know your name, and for two, just lead by example and show you how to be a pro.
I was just happy to be drafted. You know, back then it wasn't televised like it is today, and I went in the 4th round, and I was waiting at an apartment with one of my buddies from Notre Dame. He found out relatively quick, but I really don't remember what time the phone call came, but I'm not even sure if it was the same day, if it was the next day, but I remember sweating it out, and the phone kept ringing because everybody was calling up my buddy Mike, and it suddenly dawned on me that you know, if the phone's busy, how are they going to call me? I didn't know much about the Giants. In fact, one of my buddies who was with me that day, he kind of had to fill me in on what the Giants were all about. He told me about Zeke Mowat, he told me about, you know, Phil Simms, he told me about this great coach they had, Bill Parcells, who, you know, I really didn't have much experience. I didn't know that much about him. I was always kind of in my own little world, but when Bill Parcells got on the phone and I talked to him, you know, I had a sense that this guy was something special, and when I got to the Giants and I saw the guys, you know, I kind of figured that they were going places.
I didn't hear it until 11:20, I think when the sports was on a local sports station, that I had been drafted by the New York Giants. That's how I found out. There was this fear factor about coming to New York because all you think about is just Manhattan and the sheer vastness of the area. I played at South Carolina State. We might have had 10,000, 12,000 fans at homecoming. Opening Giants Stadium, we had 76,000 fans. I mean, it's more people than I'd ever seen in my life. And to be introduced and, you know, run out onto the field at Giants Stadium, it was a thrill.
There were kind of mixed emotions there because I knew I wasn't heralded coming out of college, but yet still there were some scouts that were saying that because I played tight end and I was ranked at one point in time the number 2 tight end in the nation, that I would go high in the draft as a tight end. And because I was all-conference defensive end, that I would go somewhere in the draft, but they weren't quite sure. So the day of draft, you like all expected draftees, you have mixed emotions. You're excited, but you kind of keep them under tow for a while. And with the first day come and gone, at that point in time, I didn't get drafted until late. I thought maybe it was going to pass me by. But on the second day, late, the New York Giants called me and informed me that I'd been selected in the 11th round. A guy by the name of Andy Robustelli, if you'll recall, one of my predecessors as a defensive end, he was the general manager at that time. He called, the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was very positive. And it said, "Congratulations, George Martin. This is Andy Robustelli of the New York Giants, and we've selected you in the 11th round." And I just felt special because, number one, it was New York, and number two, that they personally called me. I thought I'd get some telegram or something.
I was sitting there with my family, everybody sitting there watching. So I put my phone down on the charger and it started ringing, and I answered the phone, and Mr. Gettleman, he told me it was the Giants, and it was just a great sigh of relief. It's a lifetime of work, and it all accumulates to one event. It was just a blessing to have my family there for that moment. It was huge.
Well, to take you through that draft, it was a big time for me, but I really honestly didn't expect to be drafted in the first round because I had no inclination, because during that time there weren't many media outlets, no internet, and sure enough I get a call from Bill Parcells from the New York Giants, and he said, "I just drafted you, and I didn't draft you to sit you on the bench, and congratulations." I show up to camp, and the first two guys I see are Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson sitting right outside of the training room. I'm so excited to meet these guys, and I say, "Hi, Mr. Carson, hi, Mr. Taylor," and they both just kind of stare at me. And Harry, as only Harry could, he looks at me and he says, "So, homeboy, what the hell are you gonna do to get on the field?" And I was like, wow, welcome to the big leagues.
I was like, whoa, you know, the Giants, you know, because they got so many big, great linebackers. And it was just running through my head like I'm going to New York with the big boys, but it's gonna be real hard because I know New York like big linebackers. But, you know, when I got here and I played, you know, I seen the guys and I knew how hard they worked and I knew how hard I was going to work. I loved the game because when I came in here, it was hard-nosed, smash-mouth football. And I like it when it's so hard and real tough for guys because some guys get weeded out then. I knew I was on last after I realized how tough it was here.
Hey Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.